My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Game of Thrones Season 6. And this will be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back and watch this review because I will be going in depth. Okay, so just like Season 5, I didn't know what to expect from this season. Some people hate it, some people love it, and considering I hated Season 5, my expectations weren't all too high. But thankfully, it's a huge improvement. Not as good as the first 4 seasons, but still a step in the right direction. Let's hope it stays on this upward trend. But what is the best part of this season is everything at the Night Watch and Winterfell. This is, without any hesitation, the best stuff of this season. You feel the weight of Jon Snow's death and just how the best of them has died, and how this creates conflict between those who defend him and those who thinks he deserved it. And I thought all that stuff was really great. And then you've got the Red Witch bringing him back, and I do think it's a bit convenient. Like, she hasn't really talked about bringing people back from the dead as much as I would have liked for it to feel like any sort of payoff. But they definitely do set it up, especially when you look back at season 3 with Arya's storyline. I just wish it was a bit more prominent leading up to this season. And I do really like that reveal where we see the Red Witch is really like this old looking lady. That was a great moment. But she brings him back, and I love that scene where his eyes open up and that cut to credits. I got chills. Great stuff. But what I really like is how they just don't throw away Jon's death like it didn't even happen. No, it happened, and Jon's just left sitting with these emotions that he messed up so badly that his people wanted to kill him. He feels guilt over the choices he made. And it just makes for some really compelling character work. And I love the fact that he kind of gets his chance to kill the people who killed him back, but he doesn't feel good about it. Like, Ollie's just a kid and he kills him. But he knows it's what they deserve, but he's just so torn on it. It's what makes him a great character. Jon Snow wasn't the best character at the beginning of this show. He wasn't the most compelling, but by this point, he is just one of the best, simply. And I absolutely love the fact that Jon and Sansa reunite. We don't really get any happy moments with the Stark family, and it's more than deserved here. To see those two just hug each other, it honestly made me cry a little bit. It's a really great feel-good moment, and I love that. And I loved how we see Sansa become the person she should have been last season. The way she confronts Littlefinger in that one scene, the way that she really comes to her own this season. Some really great character work for her. And then we got everything at Winterfell with Ramsay, and I love how he just completely takes control. He kills his dad pretty ruthlessly. He kills his brother, and then he ends up getting retcon and he kills Orsha in a really great scene. And you just really despise Ramsay, and it all builds to this Battle of the Bastards so perfectly. And that episode, I've heard great things about it, but if I'm being honest, I look at IMDb and there's some episodes rated 9.9, 9.7, and I'm just like, okay, it's a good episode, but that good? Like, The Door isn't that good of an episode. The season 6 finale, The Wind of the Winter, I think is what it's called, it's not that good. And I saw the 9.9 for Battle of the Bastards, so I'm like, let's see if it's that good. And the first half hour with the Daenerys stuff, I'm like, eh. But then we get to the second half and perfection. Some of the finest stuff in this entire show. Just excellent, excellent. Now, I will be honest, when Recon dies, I don't really care all too much because he's a very forgettable character. In fact, I think I might have slipped up and said that he died in the season 4 finale. And if I did say that, which I think I did probably, then can you really blame me? Someone died, and I was just like, oh, was that retcon? Probably. Anyways, he's not a great character. He's not well established. He's not well developed. He's not fascinating in any way. He's been thrown to the background this entire time, and whenever someone brings up his name, they're just like, oh yeah, he exists. So his death didn't hit me as much as I would have liked, but the fact that Ramsey's clearly taunting John and misses a few times on purpose and then kills him just as he gets to John, it really makes you, it just reminds you how despicable Ramsey is. So then we got to this moment where John's way ahead of his army and they start firing arrows at him, so he has no choice but to go forward, and his men start to march and charge right behind him, but he's still pretty far ahead, and the arrows eventually wipe out his horse, and it's just John on his feet facing off this giant army, and we've got one of the best moments of the entire show here. John doesn't run away, he doesn't even react. He takes out his sword, he's ready to fight, he's ready to die. And the way the music picks up, oh my goodness, I found it to be moving. I started tearing up, and just an incredible moment. And then you get this great fight scene with a few great one-take shots. And you just feel the chaotic nature of war. Everybody's dying left, right, and center, and it's really tense, it's brutal. And you've got this section where, John and his army are surrounded by the Winterfell army, and they're coming at them with these long arrows, and it doesn't seem like there's any escape. And there's a scene where John falls, and you just feel the suffocating nature of war. And then the army led by Littlefinger of the Vales comes, saves the day, and it is such a well built up to moment because it's not a Deus Ex Machina. A Deus Ex Machina is something contrived, something that comes out of nowhere and saves the day. But this was so well built up to throughout this entire season. So it doesn't feel like a cheat, it feels properly owned. And just watching them come out on top was so satisfying to see. And then we've got John chasing down Ramsey, and he ends up firing a few arrows at his shield, and John then beats the living shit out of him. And I love how he's about to kill him for what he did to Retcon, but then he looks over at Sansa and he realizes this is for her to do. I love that. And then Sansa gets her revenge, and I love how there's a moment where you think she's going to look away, but then she keeps on looking. And it's such a great character moment. And then we get this one flashback in the last episode where we find out who John's parents are, and it does this cut to John, which is so great. But he's the son of Lyanna Stark, so he is a Stark, and a Targaryen. And I actually think that's such a great reveal, and 6 seasons in, it just highlights how honorable Ned was, because Ned was the best of the best. He was a good man. His biggest flaw, though, was that he cheated on his wife and loved his bastard son, even though it turns out that wasn't even true. He risked his reputation and his honor to save his nephew, and he took him in like a son. And Ned's such a great character, and I love this reveal. And then we get to this scene where everyone claims John as the king of the North, and once again I found it to be moving. It brought tears to my eyes. He is a character that has owned this, and to see everyone finally recognize it, it's so great to see. So all of that's really great, and the stuff with Greyjoy here is really excellent too. We get this scene early on where he tries to save Sansa, and they have this goodbye, and he goes back to his home, which is pretty convenient. He gets back right when his dad is murdered by his uncle, but then him and his sister are on the run, and they end up going to Daenerys. And I just love how you see his healing throughout this entire season. There's a scene where he's talking to his sister and she's trying to get him to drink a little, to loosen up a little bit, because if he's not going to get better, he might as well just kill himself now. And I think Theon is the most consistently great character in this entire show, so that's great. And then we've got everything with Arya, which is better than it was last season. I still hate everything with the faceless and no one stuff. It just doesn't work for me. I get what they're going for. I just find it all to be incredibly dumb. And it does feel nice that we actually see her progress in becoming a warrior. But I don't buy that she got to the point where she could take down that one assassin. You know, I get it. She cuts the candle so it goes dark because she was blind. But I still don't buy that she would be able to beat her like that. It's just felt incredibly contrived. Oh, and I hate how she's blind, but then she can see. None of that worked for me at all. And it really ticks me off that she got shanked a bunch of times and she lies down for one day and she's fine. Like, that should have killed her. I don't buy that at all. I didn't mind everything with her and Lady Crane. The fact that they actually have a bit of a relationship in just 3 scenes. And I like the fact that she wouldn't kill her. I'm not a fan of the whole heals the show, but in play mode. I get that it's kind of realistic and that's how they would tell stories back then, but it didn't work for me. And I do love the last scene with Arya this season where she gets her revenge on the Frey. Where are my boys? They're right here. And he looks down at the pie. I do wish that he took a bite of the pie first. You know, but still, you know, she got to Sweeney Todd the boys. Like, that is the plot of Sweeney Todd. But anyways, and as she took off the mask and she's like, I'm Arya Stark, and she gets to kill him. Great moment. It's just a very on moment. And then we got everything in King's Landing, which I still don't give a shit about in this season. I do not like Tommen. Tommen is the new Bran. He is such a boring character. And I understand that he's meant to be young and naive and easy to manipulate, but you could have done all of that without the High Sparrow. It would have been infinitely better if you've got the Tyrells trying to push Tommen one way and his mother's trying to push him the other way, and you can see how conflicted he is. But then you add in the High Sparrow and it's like, I don't buy that he would choose the High Sparrow over his mom, but he chooses his wife over his mom and she chooses a High Sparrow, and it's just a few extra steps needed and nothing about it really works for me. I like the candle bomb part of the finale where Cersei ends up killing a bunch of people. Great moment. But then Tommen finds out about his wife's death and he kills himself. And I hate this moment. I really do. Because Cersei has always been a despicable person, but in season 4, it is a huge aspect of her character that she would never do anything to put her kid's life in danger. So the fact that Cersei finds out her kid is dead and just doesn't react at all feels completely out of character. And the fact that Joffrey threatened to have her killed and that wasn't too much for her to betray her kid, but Tommen was, I just don't buy. I do like where she ends up as the queen, and I do like that scene where she blows everything up. But Tommen's death, terrible character, could have been handled so much better, and yeah, it didn't quite get there for me. And then we got to everything with Jaime, and I'm going to be honest, hot take, I don't really give a shit about Jaime. In the first 4 seasons, he's one of the best characters because he's a despicable person, but he's on a redemptive path. And they've just taken that and thrown it away, and he's such a boring, uneven character that you don't know what to think of him. I like him when he's with Brienne in that one scene, but that's about it. The character just does nothing for me now, and I really hate what they've done with Bronn. I felt like he used to be more intelligent, but now he just tells dick jokes. And then you've got everything with Daenerys, and I hate the Wasraki plot. none of it worked for me. It just feels like we've been down this path already. Well, they all think that they're going to get their way with her, and then she's like, surprise, I'm powerful, and now your people will worship me. I feel like we've done it already, and when she kills them all, I might make myself out to be a complete idiot here, but how? How did she take them all out? Stone is not flammable to my knowledge. So how? She knocks over the things and everything just catches fire? Yeah, I smell bullshit. The slave traders battle, man. Tyrion, I don't really like him anymore. I feel like he's become a complete idiot, which is completely out of character for him because the whole point of him in the first 4 seasons is that he is the perfect son to Tywin. But Tywin just can't accept it because of what happened to his wife and because of how Tyrion looks. And that's the tragic nature of his character. But now he's just kind of dumb. He's making this terrible small talk where he's trying to explain what a joke is. And I find it to be very cringeworthy. And he has this scene at the end of the season with Daenerys where she makes him the king's hand. And it's a nice moment. But then you stop and think about, so they met each other. They had the one talk afterwards. They were at the arena together. And now she came back. And now they're like best buddies. I don't really buy the relationship growth. The actors sell it the best they can, but I'm not there. And then they was breaking up with some. There's too many characters. With that one dude, I don't buy it all. I do like the note this story ends on with them finally going to Westeros. It's what we've been waiting to see the entire time. Hopefully it delivers. But everything else regarding this plot I could do without. And Bran, bull wing. Bran sucks. I hate him. I love the White Walker stuff and that one scene where they attack the cave and all that. Great, but everything else just didn't work for me. Him getting rescued is so contrived, and then we get introduced to Benjen, but then he just disappears. And then we get all these flashbacks of Ned, which didn't really work for me, so there's that. But I think the Sam and Gilly stuff was the worst stuff of this entire season. Even more boring than the Bran stuff. I just don't care about Sam. He works when he's with Jon. But by himself, he's a very boring character. And then we've got the Hound who kind of comes back for an episode or two. But anyways, there's some terrible exposition dialogue where Ian McShane's like, oh, when I found you, I thought you were dead. But now this and this and this. And they just explain everything. And then the Hound just happens to run into the Brotherhood from season 3, and it's just like, this isn't built up to. So, look, and the Sand Snakes, in the beginning of this season, forgot until the end. So, I love the Winterfell and the Night Watch stuff, but everything else isn't anywhere near as good. I do think it builds to the last couple of seasons perfectly though, like with Daenerys heading to Westeros with an alliance from Theon and the Sand Snakes against Cersei, who's now the queen, and how Arya's a warrior now on her revenge quest. And I will say, I don't buy that she's as good as a warrior as the show's made her out to be so far, but still, you've also got Jon, who's the king of the Knolls. It sets the stage perfectly for the last couple seasons. But I still have issues. Number one is the humor is awful. Too many dick jokes, like I said. There was this one scene where someone's talking about the mountain, and then the mountain shows up behind him. It just feels like something you would see in a Marvel movie. Tyrion not knowing that one language for the sake of a joke, I didn't like. And then the girl power scene between Lyra and Daenerys, it didn't work for me. I thought it was very cringeworthy. I get that it's a big deal, that they're girls in power, but you draw attention to it too much, and it didn't really work for me. But it's like 5 seconds. The cast still does a good job with Kate Harington. He is the standout in this show right now. I think he's so great as he just portrays the complexities of this character and just how guilt-ridden he is. He brings so much weight to it that's so desperately needed. Sophie Turner is doing some of her best work. She's fantastic. Macy Williams, I still really like. Not as good as I did in the beginning, but she's still good. Ewan Wehoon is so despicable and you love to hate him as Ramsey. Alfie Allen is still great. You've got Gemma Whelan as Laura, who's great. And someone who's been in a lot of the other seasons that I haven't mentioned, but I think gives some of his best work here, is Liam Cunningham as Davos. Really great job here. Gwendolyn Christie's great, and Ian McShane and Essie Davis, for having such small roles, really do stand out. I didn't realize she was the Babadook lady, but she does a good job. Then we've got Bella Ramsey, who I don't think is great here. I thought she was good in that movie, Catherine Called Birdie. As of now, I haven't seen Last of Us as of October 2022, but I think she's a good pick for Ellie. I don't think she's great here, though. John Bradley, boring. Isaac Hampstead, Art Parkinson, boring. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, he can't save Jamie. No one can. He's so terribly written by this point. Lena Headey, I just don't care for anymore. Without Tywin, Tyrion, or Joffrey, there's just nothing about this character. Roy McKinney does a fine job. Peter Dinklage, Jerome Flynn, Aidan Gillen he's fine. Cornelius Hale, Ian Glenn, Amelia Clark, okay, fine. Natalie Dormer, not her best work this season. Yeah, there's still some actors doing a great job, but it isn't as consistent as it once was. The directing is still good for the most part, some really great visuals, but there are some cheap looking CGI shots. I love the look of the White Walkers. I love the whole vibe those moments have, and the music by Ramin Djawadi is just absolutely incredible. So yes, this season I did like. I think it's solid, and I think there's some absolutely incredible stuff here, especially the last half hour of Battle of the Bastards. Some great character work, some great, phenomenal battle sequences, great music, some great performances, but there's a lot of other stuff this season that didn't work for me anywhere near as much. Arya's storyline is fine enough. You also got the Greyjoy storyline, which I like, but everything in King's Landing, Daenerys, Bran, Sam and Gilly, So it's a bit more of a mixed bag, but when this season is great, it's really freaking great. So that bumps my rating up to a 6.5 out of 10. Okay, did you watch Game of Thrones Season 6? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. And Gavin, out.